The fallout from Monza has exploded into one of the fiercest controversies of the Formula One season, with new evidence putting McLaren under an even brighter spotlight and intensifying a debate that simply refuses to fade away. What was already a divisive team order has now been magnified by cold, hard numbers that fans and pundits alike cannot ignore. The revelation that Oscar Piastri's pit stop was clocked at 1.91 seconds, the fastest pit stop of the entire 2025 season so far, has completely changed the tone of the discussion. It was flawless execution, the type of precision teamwork that defines Formula One at its very best, and it should have been celebrated across the paddock as a perfect example of coordination under pressure. But just moments later, Lando Norris rolled into the box, and the contrast could not have been more brutal. His stop dragged on for almost 6 seconds, one of the slowest of the entire race weekend, effectively destroying his momentum and reshaping the dynamics of McLaren's afternoon. Within the space of a few heartbeats, McLaren had gone from perfection to disaster. That single swing of fortune altered the natural running order, with Piastri rightfully emerging ahead, but instead of allowing the consequences to stand as part of racing, the team stepped in. Over the radio came the instruction for Piastri to hand the position back to Norris, erasing not only the advantage he had earned, but also the sense of fairness that fans expect when both drivers in a team are competing on equal footing. This one decision has sparked a storm that shows no signs of dying down. Formula One has always been defined by margins, by the razor-thin gaps between glory and defeat, and by the unpredictable chaos that can rewrite the script of a Grand Prix in a single instant. At Monza, those margins were laid bare in the starkest way possible. Piastri and his crew delivered perfection, the kind of pit stop that mechanics dream of and that statisticians mark down in the record books. On the other side of the garage, Norris's crew made an error that proved costly, but that too is part of the sport. In Formula One, pit stops are just as integral as tire management, overtakes, or weather conditions. They are high-risk, high-reward moments where every fraction of a second counts. Entire championships have swung on them. Michael Schumacher, Ayrton Senna, and Lewis Hamilton have all won and lost races depending on pit stop execution. That is the nature of the game. But what has fueled the uproar is that McLaren seemed unwilling to accept this reality. By intervening, they rewrote the outcome, overriding what had unfolded naturally on track. And by doing so, they crossed into territory that many fans believe undermines the very integrity of the championship fight. The backlash has been ferocious. On social media, side-by-side videos of the two pit stops, 1.91 seconds for Piastri versus 5.87 seconds for Norris, have gone viral. Memes, graphics, and endless comparisons have hammered home the sense that Piastri was robbed not by chance, not by his own mistake, but by his own team's decision. What should have been remembered as a brilliant double podium has instead been reduced to a symbol of controversy and favoritism. For critics of McLaren's so-called Papaya Rules, the evidence has only added fuel to the fire. The situation has even drawn comparisons with some of the most infamous moments in Formula One's history. Many have likened it to Ferrari's notorious team orders at the 2002 Austrian Grand Prix, when Rubens Barrichello was forced to hand victory to Michael Schumacher in front of a furious crowd. That incident triggered one of the darkest days for Formula One, with fans booing from the grandstands, commentators raging in disbelief, and the FIA forced to step in and temporarily ban team orders. The parallels with Monza are clear. In both cases, a driver who had done everything right was instructed to give up what he had earned, not because of strategy, not because of on-track racing, but because the team decided the bigger picture demanded it. And just as Ferrari carried the stain of Austria 2002 for years, McLaren now risks having Monza 2025 become a scar on their reputation that refuses to heal. What makes this particular controversy even more damaging is that it involves the championship leader. Oscar Piastri is not a rookie still trying to prove himself, nor is he a support act. He has been McLaren's star performer all season, the driver leading the championship standings, and the man upon whom their title hopes rest. Yet when the crunch came, it was he who was asked to yield. That contrast has been brutal. For many fans, Monza confirmed a suspicion they had long feared, that when forced to choose, McLaren will always bend toward Norris. The fact that Norris is British, racing for a British team only sharpens that perception, leaving fans convinced that Piastri will always be expected to play the loyal teammate. Now, with the raw numbers laid bare, 1.91 against 5.87, that suspicion has hardened into outright belief. The symbolism is impossible to ignore. Perfection on one side of the garage, costly failure on the other, and yet the driver who delivered excellence was the one who paid the price. That is the irony cutting deepest. Instead of celebrating Piastri's record-setting stop, the story has become one of betrayal and favoritism. Even rival drivers have added to the fire. Max Verstappen, dominant at the front of the race, couldn't resist mocking the decision when informed about it on the radio. His laugh, followed by the sarcastic comment, "just because he had a slow stop," has since gone viral, capturing exactly what millions of fans were already thinking. Verstappen's career has been built on ruthlessness, on the idea that once you earn a position, you never give it back. For him, pit stops are part of racing, full stop. Sometimes they win you a race, sometimes they cost you everything, but they are never something to be corrected with a radio call. His reaction resonated precisely because it underlined the absurdity of McLaren's intervention. Former drivers and team bosses have also weighed in. David Coulthard blasted McLaren for manipulating the natural order of the race, warning that once you start correcting pit stops, you open the door to correcting every mistake, strategy errors, tire choices, even driver misjudgments. Toto Wolff echoed the concern, pointing out that racing thrives on unpredictability and chaos, and that fans don't tune in to watch a sanitized version of events where teams erase every error in the name of fairness. Fans want racing, not mathematics, and at Monza, McLaren seemed to forget that. Inside the team, the atmosphere has been tense. Publicly, Piastri has been diplomatic, telling the media that he accepted the decision as fair and insisting that he would not regret it even if it cost him the championship. But his raw words over the radio told a different story. "Slow pit stops are part of racing," he said in frustration. That line has since been replayed everywhere, becoming the rallying cry for those who feel he was wronged. It was the voice of a driver who knew he had done everything right, only to see it stripped away. Now, with the championship gap reduced to just 31 points, every single race that follows will be shaped by what happened at Monza. If the title is decided by fewer than 3 points, the Italian Grand Prix will go down not as a triumph, but as the race where Oscar Piastri lost the crown. That is why the revelation of the pit stop data has been so devastating. It strips away any gray area, any ambiguity, and leaves a blunt truth. McLaren asked their fastest driver, their championship leader, to surrender what he had earned because his teammates' crew made a mistake. That truth will follow them into every Grand Prix for the rest of the season. Singapore, Suzuka, Austin. Each time the two McLarens find themselves close on track, the shadow of Monza will loom. Fans will hold their breath, waiting to see if another radio call arrives, if another moment of manipulation unfolds. Rivals, too, will be watching, ready to exploit any fracture within the Papaya garage. The danger for McLaren is that the damage goes far beyond one race. Just as Ferrari never truly escaped the ghosts of Austria 2002, McLaren now risks carrying this stigma for years. No matter how many times they try to explain it, no matter how polished their press releases, the phrase Papaya Rules has entered the Formula One vocabulary, a constant reminder of Monza's fallout. Verstappen's mocking laugh gave it an edge that won't fade anytime soon. The cliffhanger is obvious. What happens the next time McLaren faces a split-second decision between its drivers? Do they stand back and let them race, risking chaos on track? Or do they intervene again and confirm the suspicion that fairness is conditional inside the team? This is the question that will hang over every race until the end of the season. Monza should have been a celebration, a double podium that proved McLaren's progress and cemented their status as Red Bull's closest challenger. Instead, it has become the catalyst for one of the fiercest debates in modern Formula One. With 8 races still to go, the tension is only escalating. Fans are not just watching the fight for the title. They are watching to see whether McLaren can repair the trust of their championship leader and the millions who feel betrayed. And if they cannot, then Monza 2025 may go down as the moment McLaren's title campaign unraveled, not because of rivals, but because of decisions made within their own garage.